Today we have a special video. We are revisiting F1 2018. And why is it special? Because it's the game, the car, the track, and the setup that I won my second F1 Sim Racing World Championship on. And I am buzzing to get back into this throwback of a video and revisit one of my favorite F1 games of all time as well. With that being said, let's get on the grid and straight into the video. F1 2018, this track, this car, and additionally, this setup is exactly what I won my second F1 Sim Racing World Championship title with, and we are going to be getting straight into the race. So the exact setup and also the strategy and fuel are going to be stocked because I can't remember the fuel and the strategy to be using in this race. But I am so excited to get back into this game because it's going to be putting me down memory lane with the exact setup, with the exact feeling I had in the car from 2018 as I went on to win this very race on the 2018 F1 Sim Racing Championship. The AI are pretty slow on the first lap on this year's game though, just as a heads up. You're going to see we can easily get up the inside of many cars. Alonso sort of jumped out of our way there. I don't think we're going to be close enough to get to Grosjean on this corner. But yeah, the AI are pretty slow on the first lap of this year's game, and then they get quicker from lap 2 onwards. But that's just a heads up to why we're able to overtake so many people so easily and getting two cars. Well, there's a bit of contact there. Rubbings Racing. That's why I was able to get two cars so easily in that situation and move up to P9. But as I was saying previously before, I am so excited to be feeling the same sensations I had in the car from oh so many years ago back in 2018. And something that I did actually, I did do a bit of warm-up for this video as well. I initially meant just to do a handful of laps in time trial and then just to be going straight into this race after I warmed up a few laps from the game. But I ended up driving like 15 laps, to be honest. Just simply because I was enjoying it. I was having fun. I was able to just go down memory lane and start picking up a little bit of the driving style that I used on the 2018 game. The most prominent part of that driving style has got to be the gearbox usage, and that is when you're flicking down the gear in the middle of the corner to add rotation to the car, something that has very much become a thing of the past in the F1 games. Thankfully, to be honest, because it was very difficult to do, not really realistic in my opinion as well, and quite infuriating when you wouldn't get it right. But if you watch carefully during the course of this video, when we downshift the car, especially in low speed corners, you end up with a big kick of oversteer and helps rotate the car. You're going to see me do it. Checo is out of the race, unlucky son. You're going to see me do it quite a lot in low speed corners in this situation. So you're going to see going in, pull the third gear, and as soon as we pull third gear, the car rotates like a dream. And that is just the characteristics of this year's game that I really need to dial myself back into. Because of course it changes the way that you approach the braking zone, also your brake shape, your trail braking as well. Because you know that that kick of oversteer is going to help you rotate the car around the apex. And you have to compensate for that with your inputs of the brake pedal. You're going to see me, yeah, going down into third, short shifting back up to fourth. And this game was all about being absolutely buttery smooth with your wheel inputs. If you could be super smooth with the inputs that you did on the steering wheel and rotate the car with the gearbox, you was on for a winner of a lap time or racing combination. And that's all that this game really, well not all, but the majority of trying to master lap time on this game was built around that sort of smooth inputs on the steering wheel and also quite aggressive on the gearbox. And I, to be honest, didn't realize how much my driving style was fine-tuned for this very game until I started doing this series. And I started, of course, going back through all the games from 2014 until now, planning to do 2017, and that'll be the conclusion of this mini series before F1 25 comes out. But yeah, going back through the games, I can literally feel how the handling model has evolved in those years, you know. And for me, it's been quite fascinating just sort of driving the old F1 games again and get a feeling for what I used to feel and the sensations that I used to look out for in the car, the game, the physics, the setup. And because it's on Steam, like I say, my setups are automatically saved from oh so many years ago. The damage is very sensitive on this year's game, so if we would have hit Verstappen there, then it probably would have been damage to our front wing, and that would have been disaster. But fortunately not. But yeah, because like I say, I have all of my setups of the 2018 season saved on this game, my settings as well. I can literally see my force feedback settings and everything that I was doing back in 2018. It allows me a direct comparison to the driver that I am now and the driver I was back then. And I can tell you, I was actually a lot better back then, at least on this game. And something I was a lot more locked in, I was a lot more focused, a lot more dialed in as well as you're trying to go around the outside on Max Verstappen. Leigh, oh, wow, that was contact with Verstappen. That was a bit interesting. Let's take a little bit of a replay at that, because that was a bit spicy. Right, where's the fast forward button? There's the fast forward button. In third person camera, down the inside, Verstappen locks up and makes contact with us. Where have we seen that before? Verstappen is always aggressive, especially back in 2018. But that's why we love him. And that move he did, oh my god, don't want to hit him in the back there. The move, oh, got invalidation. The move he did on the first turn of Imola. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That was a statement. That was a statement of an overtake. And one that's going to be played back for many a year. And to be honest, I reckon that is a very defining moment in the real life championship, in all honesty. I think it was sort of Max saying, I'm not done with this championship, and had put one over Oscar. And I think it's going to be very, very difficult to defeat Max Verstappen this year. He seems debatably faster than ever, but I would say definitely smarter than ever, more composed than ever, at least from the outside perspective. And of course, I know very little to nothing. All I see is all I know is what I see on the TV. I don't really have any inside information, but from what I see from Max, his body language, his ability in the car, he is phenomenal. Of course, obvious statement, I know. Anyway, getting back to the point of this video, we are now on lap 5 of the race. The pit window is coming pretty soon, but in all honesty, my tyres don't really feel that bad, and I still feel pretty quick, able to be closing up to Daniel Ricciardo. Interesting there, you can actually see a bit of a 2014, why am I saying 2014? 2024 driving style in turn 1, that I flicked the steering wheel out of habit because I was going deep, and that shows just how sort of embedded the F1 2024, there we go, got the name right this time, driving style is now into the brains of at least myself, and it's really difficult to get out of the habit when playing the F1 games, because you still have slightly the same feeling, and it's so easy just to do that sort of underlying mental override of, if you're going deep, to flick the wheel and to get out of the situation like it would be on 2024. I found that quite interesting anyway, as we're arriving towards the end of the middle sector and not too far away from my fastest lap time of the race, able to close into Daniel Ricciardo pretty convincingly on this lap. Big lock up there, but able to pick up a half decent, well, yes, it was half decent until I started saying that it was good, and then it was bad from that point onwards. The leader of, I think that is Sebastian Vettel. Yeah, it is definitely Sebastian Vettel, because the other Ferrari of Kimi Räikkönen is directly ahead of me, and we're almost picking up a invalidation there, actually having big oversteer as we went into the corner. Again, what I was talking about is when you do downshift on this year's game, you do get that kick of oversteer, and I didn't use it to my advantage, actually used it to my disadvantage in that final corner there. In the first corner, you saw when I went down to third gear, the car pivoted and rotated like a dream though. So when you do know how to use it, it could be to your massive advantage. Down the inside of the AI there, and that was a big thing of the AI of this game, almost picking up an invalidation. That when you did put your car in, then it was pretty easy that the AI would just get out of the way, but we have fluffed up the start of that sector, and the rear tyres are really starting to scream for grip as we're now going for the hairpin. The traction is pretty decent, in all honesty. Let's take a quick look at that. So yeah, 101 degrees, what is pretty hot if I do remember correctly with these tyres. Daniel Ricciardo not able to catch us down the straight even when he has the DRS wide open. So that's quite handy for us with the overtake button as well in full use. Bottas is up next. And now, you can see we didn't actually put down the gear that time because we wanted to try and keep the rear stability in the car. So that was a much better rotation than last lap. So we're starting to get the hang of how to adapt back to this handling model. And now catching up to Valtteri Bottas. But we might be a bit too far away to strike on this back straight, and we do take out the bollard. In fact, that was not the prettiest corner I've ever done in my life. So yeah, it is going to be very critical to overtake Bottas in this final sector because these tyres are going off the cliff and losing grip at a rapid rate of knots. And of course, whoever gets the pit lane first can box on this lap between me and Valtteri Bottas. So we have to probably be a bit cheeky here and try and find a way past him, as we're now going to be looking down the inside, get the position, big double lockup, but we was able to get the place just about, and then we were able just to get up ahead of him. Sorry, Bottas, I feel slightly bad about that. Oh my god, a big slap of oversteer, and we are going to be able to come into the pit lane this lap. He's actually going to be following us in, so it is pretty critical for our race in the end that we did get past him. So sorry, mate. Sorry. Not that sorry, but sorry. Cheers, buddy. Cheers for your tyres. Anyway, cracking on. We are now in a good contention because of the loss of Valtteri Bottas to be winning this race. We got a few cars up ahead. We got Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel just up the road as well. Daniel Ricciardo looking around the outside of us, but nothing he's able to do there. We've got a lot of seconds to be catching up to Sebastian Vettel, and we've got one extra warning. I think we're on one warning at the moment, so one extra warning before we're on two, and then once we're on two warnings, we'll be a bit tricky and a bit treacherous to be pushing the limits of this track and starting to get into a good flow of feeling with the car, with the grip, with the tyres, and taking advantage of the better grip before they start to degrade and overheat. That was a big thing on this year's game, with the tyres overheating as the stint progressed, and it was really easy to lose time because of it. Flying down the straight now, putting the battery to none. Braking, I thought was actually a little bit early, but seemed to be a good rotation in the car anyway. If you look at the bottom right hand side of the screen, well, firstly, we missed the apex by a country mile, but secondly, the point that I was initially going to be making is just how much we're changing the battery usage of the car and the fuel, just trying to maximize the lap time potential by accelerating as quickly out of the corners and harvesting as much as we can in the braking zone. And now we should be closing up to Kimi Raikkonen. This was so hard to do back in the day, changing so many of the ERS modes. I remember a cheeky thing that I was testing back in 2018, because there was so many changes on the ERS harvesting and deployment and the fuel mix as well. What I ended up testing was mapping my ERS up and down. So quickly, if we go to the menus, so in the shortcuts of the menu, you can see I haven't got any assigned right now because it's just a menu I made today. But you could assign your ERS increase to your pedal input. So you can see this would be my ERS increase and decrease. So every single time I went on the throttle, my ERS mode was increasing to give me more power on the exit. And also every single time I hit the brake, the ERS would decrease in the modes, because of course it was going down. So it meant I could be really efficient by using better ERS modes around the lap and around the corner, giving me more brain capacity to think about the braking bias changing and also the fuel changing. Because of course, if I'm changing the ERS mode with my hand, I can't be changing it with my changing the fuel. So by doing this, I could change the ERS modes by going on and off the power, or using the brake or not using the brake, and then also changing the engine map and also the braking bias with my hands, meaning I had full control over every element of the car, maximizing performance. I'm not going to use it for today. just quite simply as it's such a fine-tuned thing, and I don't want to use it in this situation just for this video, but that's a funny memory that I had, which just came back in that situation. Cracking on with the race now. Actually, ironically, happened to move my ERS mode back down in the corners. So yeah, that was something that I tested extensively and on some situations used, and was able to gain a bit of an advantage from it. On some tracks, it wasn't really fully usable, just because there was too many complex corners, and if you had like a corner where you're going on and off the power quite a lot, would be messing up your ERS mode and your ERS usage, because it's always going up and down. But if I was able to have a driving style that was very much like one brake input, one steering wheel input, one throttle input, then it meant that I could be really efficient with using the pedals to be mapping, to be changing the ERS harvesting and deploy as well. We don't have much time in this race left. We're already on lap 9. We're on lap 10, of course, when we get to the start-finish line. Obvious statement, I know. So, we have caught Kimi Räikkönen, and we need to get a crack on right now. So, we've used quite a lot of fuel. That helicopter, I think, has been static there the whole race. That is quite impressive skills to be keeping the helicopter there for 10 laps of a race. A new PB in the race so far as well, and we're not going to go past Kimi Räikkönen in turn 1. We're going to wait behind, miss the apex. I promise that was deliberate. And now we are going to be looking just to stay nice and close to him during the first sector, and then easily overtake him down the back straight. As you can see now, closing in, the rear of the tyres starting to overheat, lose grip, lose traction, lose confidence as we're flying through the first sector, but able to gain a lot of ground to him. We're 3/10 down on our personal best so far, just through a suboptimal first sector of the lap. Good hairpin though, good exit, good traction, good use of overtake mode, and DRS mode is activated down the straight, and Kimi Räikkönen is a sitting duck for us as we're now setting off to try and catch Sebastian Vettel before the end of this race. Something I find fascinating, just on a personal note, is how I'm getting back used to the game, how I'm naturally starting to put my ERS modes and my downshifting into a way that's suited to maximizing this game's performance potential and getting into a good flow with the lap time, starting to manage the rear axle of the tires in an appropriate way, downshifting slower to help manage the rear tire temperature as well. The reason downshifting slower was important is because when you downshifted much slower in the car, it meant that you were locking the rear tyres a bit less aggressively, what of course had a positive effect on not overheating the tyres so easily. And you can see just now picking up my apex is a bit better, picking up my exits a lot cleaner as well, and now we're flying through the first sector. I think I saw 2 seconds to Sebastian Vettel during the start-finish line, purple sector 1, and now I was going to say I'm getting in the flow of it, but I had to eat my own words and catch the oversteer in that situation. You can see I'm quite hesitant to put the car down the gear into third gear in quite a lot of corners because of that oversteer, but we are starting to get into a good flow. We've got lots of fuel. Let's check out the tyres. The rear tyres are at 15%, the rear tyre temperatures at 99 and 98. So I can't really remember if that's overheating, but they feel okay for now as we get that rotation into left-hander and started to pick up the pace. We lost a lot of time in the middle sector compared to what we was able to do in the first. Possibly part of that was due to not having DRS as well, and now we are starting to get into it. I'm loving this, to be honest. I'm really starting to enjoy this and getting back into the feeling of the car and exactly what we're looking for as well to go quickly. My inputs are becoming more suited to this game by the corner, by the lap. I've eaten my words, I've missed the apex again. Maybe I should focus on driving at this point rather than the comms, but do you know what? I'm loving it. I'm having so much fun, and we are only just away from the DRS of Sebastian Vettel on lap 12 of 14 here at COTA. Another good first corner, and starting to pick up the flow of the track, of the game, of the tyres. And now heading through this section of corners. Now another purple first sector, 6 tenths away from Sebastian Vettel. the engineer is super quiet, but they said that Ricardo has an issue, and unlucky for him, I guess. But to be honest, I couldn't care less, as now we're drifting it. That was perfect! That's what you needed to do back in the day to go quickly. Ah, that felt cool. That felt awesome. What might feel even nicer though is we've got overtake enabled DRS, and we're a lot of time up on our delta. Can we get up the inside? Or Sebastian Vettel, not quite. We don't have flashbacks enabled, and we are still purple on our delta. We don't have flashbacks enabled, so if I do break my wing, if I do make a mistake, then of course I can't fix the situation artificially, and we have to be living through whatever mistake that I make. So have to be careful with front wing in that situation and be a bit more, patient. Here with Sebastian Vettel down his left hander, building back up the speed, and now on the high ERS mode. We're going to stay behind him, to be honest. We're going to try and save a bit of battery. Actually, he's got a good defensive, and we're going to try and pull off a switchback. Or go around to that side. Neither one happened, in all honesty, so that was a bit of a failure, as now we're nice and close to him. But I want to stay a bit closer to him as well to overtake him with the DRS down the back straight. And then maybe, just maybe, with the ERS that we're able to save, we can go for a final lap, fastest lap attempt, actually hitting the back of Vettel there. And that cost us a lot of momentum on the exit of the corner. And we're probably about the same distance as last lap now because of that error of judgment on my behalf. Now, on to the back straight. DRS will be enabled. ERS overtake mode is fully pressed down, and we are going to be clearing past him on our straight line speed potential. See you later, mate. And now we're up into the race lead. One lap to go. We just have to make sure we don't make a mistake, and then we could focus on doing a fastest lap of the race on the final tour of the race. And let's see if we can make some magic happen. We've got Sebastian Vettel close behind us, but the better pace that we've shown, I'm not too worried about him. We've got, what's that, 68% on the battery heading on to the final lap of the race. Let's see what we can do. Fastest lap, maybe cooking up here. 6 tenths to Vettel. You can see he's behind and he's not a worry. Using a lot of rich mix, and we might have got deep into turn 1. Actually doing a bit of a steering wheel flick helped us, but that was not optimal for the pace, performance, lap time. But with the ERS mode, we're still able to improve using medium during the first sector, carrying good speed down to 6th gear. Avoid that invalidation. Purple first sector by half a second. Vettel up to 9 tenths. Being careful here with the rear tyres sliding. Even while going slowly into the corner, we still lost a lot of rear stability. Vettel might just be in the DRS, but to be honest, he's too far away to do anything, so we're not worried about him, as we're worried actually about our exit speed. ERS mode is set to overtake down the back straight. We're going to lose a bit of top speed because we don't have the DRS enabled on this occasion, but let's see what we can do in the final sector to take home this fastest lap of the race. We're just under a tenth up on where we need to be. It wasn't purple in the middle sector, but to be honest, that's not a surprise, as we're now looking for that good traction down to 3rd gear, that rotation pull us through. Overtake mode on the exit. We've got plenty of battery, plenty of fuel. Oh, big oversteer there. Is that going to cost us? Almost in the wall, to be honest. That was a half decent save, keeping the car pinned. How are we going to get this fastest lap after all? One more corner to go, right on the limits of track limits. We're going to do it. Come on. We got the fastest lap. We got a 33.480 and victory. What a throwback. What a feeling. That was cool. I enjoyed that one. We wasn't actually able to get fastest lap. Vettel pinched it from us by just over 2 tenths of a second. So that's a shame. I genuinely thought I had it, but I had a blast playing F1 2018 again. And yeah, what a throwback. I really enjoyed that. So there we have it. 2018 is wrapped up, and yeah, I'm buzzing. I love the feeling of getting the car back and sort of understanding the traits of driving that I had back in the day. And yeah, what a feeling to drive the exact car, the exact track, the exact setup again, and to just get those feelings, the emotion, the sensations back as well. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video as well. I've been Brendan Leigh, and I will catch you next time. Grazie, ciao ciao, bye bye.